Knows Best.
Hi, friends, and welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi, how are you guys? Happy Monday. Happy New Year. Holy shit, 2025. You guys, this whole holiday season and like week before the new year and week of the new year is so freaking weird. Like, I don't know if it's because it's a Wednesday. I don't know if it's because I'm older. I don't know what the deal is, but like, I feel the new year should really start on like the Monday following, because you do New Year's Eve, which if you're like us, you guys, we did absolutely nothing. Okay, Carter actually worked until like 6 p.m. in the office, so he wasn't home all day long. I read majority of the day, and then he got home, he showered, we ordered Chinese food that was like really not that good. He enjoyed it, I did not. Okay, we were watching something, I was dozing off, falling asleep, and I went to bed by 10. But here's the thing, even though I didn't drink, New Year's Day, we did nothing. It's just like such a blah day. I mean, we went on a couple walks and whatever, we went to the gym. But it's just like, okay, like this is day one of the new year. Like I need to be in my routine. I need to be in the day to day because, for example, Carter went to work today. So it's Thursday. He's working from home tomorrow. So it's like, my new year is going to start Monday today when you're listening to this, because it's just such a weird week. Am I wrong? The only thing, yeah, so we did that. And then yesterday, you guys, Carter and I finally sat down and did our finances. Okay, because that's Carter's number one goal this year is he has some finance goals, his savings, what he wants to have of his student loan debt, yada, yada. And the day that he was working, New Year's Eve, I was putting together an Excel spreadsheet of our costs. Okay. And here's the thing, I don't have anything. The only reoccurring payments I have, you guys, is my gym membership, $49.99, and Spotify, which is like $11.99, and then my phone bill, which is almost $100. But those are my only literal 3 recurring payments. Okay, that happen every single month that I will have for the foreseeable future. Okay, Carter then has our electricity, our internet, our subscriptions, all of that stuff, which, okay, when he was not working, you know, we split the rent and then I was getting groceries, and groceries are so fucking expensive. So honestly, it probably evens out. But anyways, I was like, Carter, after our second walk yesterday, I literally walked 20,000 steps. I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep this going into the new year. However, okay, I'm like, can you just pull up your Wells Fargo and like, let's go through and like see your recurring everything, whatever all of your payments are right now. And I'm not going to pull it up. I have it on my laptop. However, like our electricity was roughly I think 20 a month. We kind of average that because that's a variable. Our internet was whatever it was, his gym membership, Hulu, Spotify, which we actually canceled Hulu. I'm like, we don't even use that. The only thing we use it for is Shark Tank, but hopefully we can find it somewhere else. And Shark Tank is so sporadic with when they drop episodes. So Hulu is like $31 a month. We don't fucking use that. So we deleted that. It was nice to go through. Carter deleted a few other things. He would like subscribe to one of his favorite like YouTube channels, Patreons. It was like $2 a month, but it was like to support the channel. It was like a hunting channel. He got rid of that, which is sad, but like, okay, you know, it's good to clear these things out, go through them, his Spotify, all of these things. So I put together an Excel sheet. And I honestly recommend any of you do this for yourself if you pay for your own things, and just like know where the fuck your money is going. You know what I mean? So we found out that we pay X amount on rent, this, that, and the other. And we always base everything off of like Carter's salary is what takes care of all of that. And then my income, because it's variable, obviously it depends on the month, is savings and investments and all of that. Like that's just kind of how we're operating right now at this current moment while we still don't have bank accounts together. And so, yeah, that was honestly, it was so nice. Like I had an idea, and it was good for Carter because he has these goals. So now that he knows how much is coming out every single month, what he brings in, he wants to contribute X amount to his student loans. And then he has a credit card that still has a little bit. So like that, and then how much he wants to throw into his own savings. It was really great to sit down and do that. As far as like physical health, I told you guys last week, all of mine, you know, going to the gym, walking, yada, yada, and then mental health. Oh, I've already started, you guys, no phone in the bedroom. Honestly, so nice. And there have been a few parts or times while I'm laying in bed and I think of something and I want to Google it, but my phone's not there. And I'm like, bitch, you can do that tomorrow. Like, you don't need to do that, because that's exactly what happens. I pull it up, whatever, and then I get stuck on my phone. Oh, and Carter started doing it. And so you guys know, maybe, wait, did I go to Barnes and Noble before last week's episode? I don't think so. So no, I definitely did not. I went to Barnes and Noble. Bitch. When was that? Yeah, definitely not by that last episode. So I had these gift cards that I wanted to use. So this one random day, I was like, I need to use these gift cards or I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. When I have a gift card, you guys, I'm like, I just want to get rid of it. I still have a Scheels gift card and a Lulu gift card. We'll get to that. However, I went to this little store in this little neighborhood that I had a gift card for because I bought a top and then I decided I didn't want it. Well, they're like a small business, so they don't do returns. They only do a gift card. I'm like, that's fucking shitty. Okay, but I went in and I got some earrings. I don't even love them. I just needed to use this gift card and I'm so mad that I'm like so impulsive like that, but I just can't. Okay. And then I had the Barnes & Noble gift card, but I had spoken to Carter and he's like, oh my gosh, I'll do that too. I'll leave my phone out of the room. But I'm like, babe, you haven't been reading. Like, what are you going to do in the bedroom if you don't have your phone? I'm like, you don't have to do it. I would love if you did because I think it'd be good for both of us. But like, if you don't have a book, whatever. And he's like, I'll go to Barnes & Noble. Well, he wasn't getting back until Sunday. So I was like, let me go look. So I did a bunch of research. He has these books that he likes by Jack Carr. And he told me that this Jack Carr referenced a few authors that he enjoys in the back of his book. So I pulled them out. I looked. I also went online and found some groups that were like Jack Carr fans and they talked about other series that they liked. So I had a good idea going into Barnes & Noble. Well, I walk into Barnes & Noble. Number one, there's a new Jack Carr book, which it wasn't part of the series that Carter likes, but I'm like, let me just grab this. And then there was a series called, the Mitch Rapp series, or like that's the character. I don't know, because I don't really fucking like these books. Carter's into like war and crime, not crime, but like the Jack Carr series is about like an American, I think he's like a CIA agent. And actually Jack Carr himself used to be in the military. So he actually has a lot of insider knowledge that he puts into his books, stuff like that. So the book that I got him is called The American Assassin. It's the first book of like a huge series and Carter immediately is loving it. So I'm so glad because then I can get all of the other books for him, which I was thinking about looking on Libby. Maybe getting him a Kindle so we don't spend money on books, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, put a pause in that. Okay, so anyways, I got him books and then I got myself The Intern by Michelle Campbell, which I'm reading right now and I'm actually liking it. It's a little bit cheesy at times, but it's good. I'm loving it. Okay, I'm about 100 and some pages in. And then I also got a book. I wanted to pick some that I hadn't really heard of. I don't know why, but I'm like, let's just find, and Barnes & Noble. There was like all of these sections that were buy one, get one half off. So I wanted to do that. I'm like, okay, let's, I don't really want to be spending this money, but it's a gift card. And so these were in a group of buy one, get one half off. And then I bought, what was the other book? Something about the wife in between or the woman between us or something by, I don't know, another author I'd never heard of, which... Let me jump into the book update really quick and then we'll come back out of it. I just finished Riley Sager, my very first Riley Sager book, The House Across the Lake. I loved it. I will say, when they started going a little ghostly, a little bit woo-woo, he almost lost me. I hate that shit. I hate when things get unrealistic. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in the paranormal. I don't believe in that bullshit. That is just personal opinion. So when books or movies, even shows, like take it there, like you lost me. Except, oh my gosh, you know what were my favorite movies growing up? The Paranormal Activities, which literally goes against everything I just said. Bitch, what? Don't mind that. I loved those only because I didn't believe what was happening, but the style, if you've seen Paranormal Activities, if you haven't, it's like a family doing home videos and they believe that there's paranormal. So it's like, cameras facing the bedroom, like up in the corner of their room. And then one of the movies had a camera that moved. It would like span the room. So it would go back and forth. So the one time it comes back, there'd be like a ghost or something. It's so jumpy. And I loved that growing up. Those were my favorites. So besides that, okay, maybe I can get into it in a movie, but like, for example, Carter was watching Kong last night or Godzilla or both. I think I don't know, Kong and Godzilla were in this movie, you lost me. Like when things get fake, I'm just like, I like real things. Or realistic. I understand that no movies and shows are real, but okay, anyways, that's my personal preference. However, I got those books. Oh my gosh. And so I wanted to obviously get books. So like the gift card was $75 at Barnes & Noble. I wanted to spend like $77, right? But after I got these 4 books, 2 for Carter, 2 for me, I'm like, whatever, let's check out. It's going to be close. So I stand in line and the line was bumping, but they moved fast. And I got this sweet, precious man who checked me out. And I debated on telling you guys this because it sounds really weird and it might not come across the same way, but I've always had like a really soft spot for like awkward men. Like for some reason, I feel so bad for them. Not bad. Okay. Because like, why am I projecting? This is exactly why I didn't want to talk about it, because this is going to make no fucking sense. But when I see a guy like that, you know, looks a little bit insecure and like not confident, I feel bad. I just like, I fear that, you know, men who are awkward or shy, like, I don't know why. I just like feel bad for them and my heart goes for them. It was like kids when we were growing up. Like I remember this kid and I can remember his name. I'm not going to say it, but he was like a little bit overweight and obviously had a bad home situation and people like made fun of him. And like that shit just got me. Like I always just felt so bad for those kids and would try and at least like speak to them a little bit. And like, you're probably like, bitch, shut the fuck up. No kid gives a shit. But like, I don't know, something inside of me, I think low key, I don't know, because it's kind of all the men in my life. Like all the men in my family are a little bit awkward. So I just feel I'm like, are you okay? Do you need help? Not like anybody in my family is not okay. Oh my God, Brenna, you're getting carried away. Well, anyways, the guy who checked me out was like kind of that way. He was like a little bit awkward. He had some sort of disability. I noticed like one of his arms didn't like move as freely. Like his fingers were curled and he's like, so he's doing everything with one hand. I kind of felt bad for him. But he was kind of melancholy, but I'm like, you know, hi, yeah, thank you. And then he was like, okay, you have $5 left on this gift card. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was trying to not let that happen, but whatever. And he's like, well, actually the gift card, he's like, it works at the cafe if you want to go use it. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's exactly what I'm going to do because I cannot leave this place with this gift card. And he kind of just like chuckled. I'm like, thank you so much. Have a good day. And he was so kind and sweet. So then I walked over to the cafe in Barnes & Noble. It's a Starbucks. And I got a bagel. Again, I didn't want to go above and beyond. I got a bagel and a Diet Coke because it was like going to be $6 or $7. Not even. I think it was like $1.03 over. So then I just tapped my little card. I said, take that fucking gift card and get it away from me. And then I just had a bagel and a Diet Coke. But from there, okay, I went to Home Goods and I need to stop going to Home Goods. However, I went on a mission. I wanted to find, because I'd went to Target earlier that day and World Market. Actually, I was looking for one of those photo frames that you can put 2 photos in. Okay, I wanted 2 because I wanted to give Carter a photo frame, a picture frame to take to his office because he was explaining to somebody in my family that his office is so gloom. So I'm like, oh my God, let me go get him photos of us and his family. So I went to Home Goods and I go to the picture album aisle or picture frame and I found the perfect just little double, like something he can just stick on his desk. It actually looks like a book, like it folds so you can like close it up, but then that way you can open it and then prop it upright. I didn't want something that like takes a lot of space, you know? So I bought that, which it was like $7. God bless Home Goods. I bought that. I go home. I put little photos in there. I have now 2 new books, although I have a few from LaDonna as well. But again, I just wanted to use this gift card. And then, I finally used, also, I had one of those Target $5 gift cards. You know how sometimes when you're checking out, they're like, you qualify for a $5 gift card. And I'm like, okay, can I apply it to this purchase? Like, that's so kind and great. It's free money, but it's also a little bit annoying to me. But I went there and what did I end up buying? I don't know. I used it for like May's Fresh Pet or something. I finally used that. So now I have a Lululemon gift card and a Shields gift card. My only issues are that, you guys, I still get my Lululemon discount from back when I was personal trainer certified. If you don't know, I was an exercise science major. Okay. And when I came to Dallas, it was for an internship and I got my certification to be a personal trainer because I had to through Exos, this sports performance company. So back then, I then attached my personal training certification to my Lululemon account. So you get like, I think it's 15% off, maybe 20. I don't remember, but I still get it. Okay. But I'm always scared that when I go in person, they're going to ask me about it or it's not going to apply or whatever. So I always try and order my Lululemon online. That way I get the discount and then I don't have to like have the potential of them calling me out. Okay, so I want to use a Lululemon gift online. So I might go into Lulu, even though I buy the same things that I know my sizes. I'm having a hard time deciding what I want to get because the gift card is like $212. And I also have, which one of them is Carter's, but he told me to just use it. We got two $50 gift cards to Scheels. And if you don't know what Scheels is, number one, you're living under a rock. But basically, it's like a Dick's Sporting Goods, but better. It's the sporting goods store that I had growing up because the family lives in Fargo. And actually, I dated their son for a while. Oh my gosh. Fun fact, when I was in high school, the son, I'm not going to say his name. Obviously, their last name is Scheel. Okay, they literally founded Scheels. The grandpa did. But the son was a cross-country runner and him and my brother ran against each other. And we like briefly dated for a period of time, but he was kind of a weirdo. But their house was insane. They had a pool in their house. And in Fargo, North Dakota, period, like people just don't have that kind of money. But it was crazy. But anyways, okay, love Scheels because North Dakota has always had them. And there is one here in Texas now. Actually, one time I was on a plane either going to North Dakota or from, and I ran into an old classmate. I'm like, oh my gosh, hi, like, what are you doing in Dallas? He's like, actually, I'm moving down here to help open the Scheels store. So it opened, I think, in like 2019 or 2020, but it's way up in the Colony, which is like a suburb of DFW, which is like at least probably a 40-minute drive, maybe 30, but like far. So I think Carter and I might go this weekend. I just don't want to drive all the way up there, but it is fun. It's such a beautiful store. They have nice clothes. They have clothes. They have shoes. They have sporting goods. They have hunting. They have guns. They have bikes. They have quite literally, it's a double decker. It has a Ferris wheel. Okay. This is one of their newer stores. So now they do this big grand one. Like the one in Bismarck where I'm from is just like a one level, whatever. It's still great. It still has like all of the great products. I mean, they have Nike, Under Armour, everything. It's like Dick's, but way better. It's like any sporting goods sort. I don't know what else to compare it to. Sports Academy, like that vibe, but just better. And they take such good care of their employees. Like it's just like a great, nice place to go. It really is fun. I actually just saw the other day. If you don't know who Caitlin Davis is, I think that's her name, which I don't know too much about her. I know she's here in Dallas. She's like the content creator that always talks about being a bull rider's wife. Like her husband is a bull rider. And she just made a video the other day. And she's like, you guys always ask me how to found, you dumb bitch, find cowboys. She's like, go to Scheels, literally go to Scheels. And she's so spot on with that. Like, it's just such a great store in general, but like, it's a very big, like hunting and fishing and just like kayaking, all sorts of things. So there's like a ton of men in there looking at stuff. So if you are single, maybe hit up a Scheels. She might be onto something. However, those are my gift cards. So I want to use those ASAP. What else was I going to tell you guys about? Oh, I made this little story on TikTok. Okay. I go home. Right. I did not see my mother's mom, my grandma Freund. She is 91 years old. She had 11 children. That grandma. Okay. And she had called me once before about the engagement and I never got around to calling her back. I know, Brenna, shame on you. Okay. We know I'm not good at these things. However, okay, she also tried to call me on Christmas Eve. And this is when I was sick, throwing up, and I could not answer. I'm like, I just like cannot talk to her right now. Although I had gotten a Christmas card from her, so I needed to say thank you. We forgot to call her while we were all at my mom's house, but she was calling me. I just like did not have the energy. I was feeling disgusting. However, later that day, I get a text from my 91-year-old grandma, that same grandmother, okay, who I rarely see, who I didn't even know could text. I have never texted her. She has never texted me. And the text reads, "Are you pregnant?" Question mark, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. I said, what? So I get this text, right? She had tried to call me earlier, and then I get a text from her. Are you pregnant? And my mind's spinning. And I don't talk to my mom enough. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are we talking about? And what I concluded is, number one, everybody is up at the farm, and my cousin Lauren and my Aunt Bev know that I want to elope. Okay. And old people, they all think, even my mother thought this, like when they think eloping, they think of running away to get married. Either you're pregnant or it's like, you know, somebody that your family doesn't want you to get married to, because that's like the olden times, like what they think of elopement. So what I think is that word got around, people were talking about me being engaged. These people that I don't really talk to, other than my cousin Lauren and my Aunt Bev, like I don't talk to anybody on my mom's side. They don't know anything about me. They don't know Carter, you know, but I'm guessing they were all talking about it and talking about how we're getting eloped. And then people thought, pregnant. Okay. But mind you, then also I got the norovirus. I'm puking, I'm throwing up. And I had texted my cousin because she had also tried to call, and I said, I am unwell. And I'm not sure if that then also got passed around, but because I'm talking about eloping and now I'm throwing up, I think my grandmother thinks I'm pregnant. When I had the energy, I finally texted her back and I said, hi, Grandma, I'm sick right now. I love you. Thank you for the card. I will call you in a couple of days when I'm feeling better. No, I am not pregnant. Okay. But then we get back home. Okay. I fly back in on Christmas Day. And you guys, my tummy was a little bit weird, but obviously I was sick. I haven't eaten anything in 2 days. So like, I'm like, oh, I'm craving pickles, which like happens for me sometimes, typically around my period. I'm like not feeling great, but I'm fine. And I start to think to myself, am I pregnant? Now my grandma Freund has planted that seed in my own head for a few days. You guys, I convinced myself, I'm like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. The IUD is not working. Something happened. I am pregnant. And have I taken a test? No. Okay. Because the smart part of my brain is like, no, you dumb bitch. You were just sick. Okay. It just is like you're, you know, coming off of that, whatever. But you guys, I was like full on scared, which then led me into a conversation. Okay. When Carter got back, we went and looked at lights again. We just kind of drove around because we had to go somewhere and I wanted to check another few spots. And I had been heavily thinking about being pregnant. Okay. And I think about it all the time, having kids, because you guys know that for a long time, I didn't think I would have kids, or I didn't feel one way or the other, right? Until I met Carter and found like such a solid, great partner. I'm like, oh yeah, I would have kids with this man. But also if Carter came to me and was like, I don't want kids, I think I'd be okay with that. I think I'd be more than okay with that. And here's the thing. We all know with men that men don't think about that. Men don't think about not having kids because they don't think actually about anything having to do with the children other than being a dad. They don't think about the work that goes into it. They don't think, and I don't mean this in a negative way. It can be super negative, but I just mean, I don't think that the majority of men actually think about, because they don't have to, because they don't actually take care of the child, what goes into a child. You know, they think about their legacy. They're like, my legacy. Give me a fucking break. Okay, I have this conversation with Carter all the time. I'm like, be so fucking for real. I get it, but I don't. Okay, however, right. And again, you guys know I'm not like strong one way or the other, similar to the last name. Like I will 100% change my last name. Like I think it's great. I want to be a family. I think it's being one, you know, and a lot of people are like misogyny, whatever. And I get it, but to me, it's just not that serious. To me, you know, I would want to have the same name regardless. Carter feels strongly about like kind of some traditions, not a lot of them, but some, like he believes that, you know, women take the last name, which again is like such a man thing to say. But we were driving around and I tried to preface it. I was like, babe, I'm not being passive aggressive. I'm not saying this for any sort of mixed messages. I'm simply just going to say or ask this to get your opinion because I don't know if you've ever thought about it. I'm like, do you wholeheartedly want children? Like, do you want them? Are you prepared to take care of them? If I die, like, you're going to have kids. Like, there are so many other things. Like, you think about a perfect world, 2 parents, you know, if I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom or at least work from home mom, like, amazing. But let's say something happens. Like, are you able and willing? Like, do you still want that? And of course, like, he really was introspective. Like, he didn't speak for a really long time. He sat there and he was like sitting on it. And he's like, are you telling me right now that you don't want kids? And I was like, no, that's exactly what I was trying to preface. I am neither here nor there. Like, I just want to make sure we have a conversation about not. Because it's so easy for people, like, everybody's like, yeah, I want kids. But it's like, really sit down and think about all of the things that could happen, your life, whatever. And I'm like, no, babe, like, I would love to have children with you. But also, I'm just saying, if you have never really put thought into it and all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, like, maybe that's not really what I want, but it's like what society has told me I want. Like, let's have this conversation. And we've briefly had it, but like, not really. Now that we're getting engaged and like, that's like part of our future, although it always has been, you know, it just gets more legit. And he's like, no, like, you know, so it turned into this like long, deep conversation, which was amazing. And we talked about just like getting old and like, you know, not that you should live for your children, but like, of course, like once you're a grandparent, you know, on one hand, you can be single and be totally happy. And if that's not something that you want, that's not something that you want. But I do understand, like, yeah, you know, people give us life. Like, what matters in this life is our friends and our family and our connections. And so that's also then having, oh my gosh, you guys, wait, if you're watching a video, if you're not watching a video, I just caught whiff of in my camera screen, like a shadow behind me, but I'm sitting close to my mirror right now and I could see the back of me. Oh my God, that spooked me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Speaking of ghosts, holy. Okay, sorry. Back into this. We just started talking about all of the things and whatever and what's important and yada yada. And I'm like, no, 100%. Like, I'm so excited to raise a child with Carter or children. I'm terrified of the birth. You guys, I watched Sarah's Day. If you don't know who Sarah's Day is, she's an Australian creator who started way back in the day on YouTube, but she's done birthing vlogs. And I watched it the other day and I'm like, holy fucking shit, that looks terrifying. That looks absolutely terrifying. But besides all that, I know I can do it and women's bodies are incredible. But anyways, we had a real good long conversation about that, which I loved. Like, I love just making sure we're on the same page. And I think you should always do that with your partner. Even conversations that you've already had, have them again. Okay, you guys, I just looked down at my phone to follow my notes. I have one more story and then we're going to get into questions and I'm going to make this quick. My videoing goes in increments of 30 minutes. My camera shuts off at 30 minutes. So I always try and get the first half done in the first 30 and then do the questions in the second. It does not work out that way. But I wanted to tell you a story about a creepy man at the motherfucking gym because this is exactly why women hate going to the gym. One of the reasons. Well, maybe not hate going to the gym, but one of the downsides. At our gym, you know, this is such a woman thing. We have an intuition like no other. I know a creepy man the second I see him. You just get a vibe. Okay. And there is a trainer at our gym that gives me that vibe. He's a middle-aged man and he just, you can't even, like, I could describe it. I'm not going to be mean just in case there's any way of this ever getting out. However, he just gives me that vibe. I'll see him, you know, I'll catch him staring or like even just the way he is with his clients. I'm just like, oh. Okay. Then there's another man at the gym. There is a guy and I think he's like, he works the front desk. He like cleans. I don't really know what his role is. He's an older gentleman. Okay. And when you look at this man, he looks a little scary. He looks like he would be a creep, but he is a kind sir. Okay. Again, hopefully nobody ever fucking hears this. That could potentially get back to them. But he's so kind and he talks to me about books all of the time. And you know, when I go to the gym, do I want to really sit in conversation? No. But this guy's nice and whatever. Whatever. So me and the guy who like works there, he's not a trainer. I don't know again what he does. And like have had conversations tons at this point. And he usually like gets the hint. Like he'll come and talk to me for a little bit, but then he knows to like back off. And like obviously let me walk and I read. So you guys at the gym, I walk in. Okay. I check in obviously. Well, no, I don't. Carter checks me in. And then I go to the treadmill and I walk and I read. Like that's all that I do. Okay. I obviously lift sometimes. I haven't in a really long time, but majority every single morning when we go at 5 a.m., that's what I'm doing. So, okay. It was New Year's Day and our gym is like a big rectangle. Okay. The treadmills are kind of in the center. There's like a row of treadmills and then behind is like Stairmaster, ellipticals, whatever. And that's against the wall. So behind me is only a row of like other cardio machines. Then it's the treads. Then in front of the treads, there's 2 turf things. So it's like a big open area in the middle. There's like 2 long things of turf where you can like push, the sled, or sometimes they have, the big tires where they flip them down. So the center is open. So there's like a thing of turf, a walkway, another thing of turf. And then on the other side are a bunch of not free weights, but machines. And then down on this side, the left side is like all of the free weights, the benches, the cable machines. And then on the right, there's a studio back in the corner. And then behind there is like squat racks and leg machines. Okay. But people constantly are like walking by in front of the treadmills or like whatever, Carter will come by. He'll, speak to me or just like tap my little treadmill if he's getting water. Cause there's also a fountain right in the middle. Well, this man, okay, so it's Christmas Day. And let me also go back to the trainer. The trainer, I think, has like made a few quick little like highs or something because we go there every single day. So like I recognize these people. I know people try and be like nice and whatever in the gym, but I'm also like, don't fucking speak to me. But whatever. Okay, I just avoid everybody. We go in on Christmas Day and actually the guy who I enjoy, the older gentleman, he was like, you guys are number 7 and number 8 of the year, because we went one of the first, it was like 9 a.m. and I think the gym opened at 8 on New Year's Day. And so I go and I'm walking on the tread and I'm reading and Carter's working out. He's doing legs and the man, I'm reading my book, but obviously I have peripheral vision. So I see him come up to me. So I put the book down or I look up and he's like, what are you reading? And I was like, I don't know. I just got this. It was The Intern by Michelle Campbell. I was like, I just picked it up at Barnes & Noble. It's a new author for me. He's like, oh. And then he started talking to me about other books like we always do. We started talking about VC Andrews and I told him that LaDonna just moved and how she had a ton of VC Andrews, whatever. Well, the trainer that gives me the fucking creeps, okay, comes over and he's training somebody. He's always training somebody. But like, here's the thing. I'll be walking on the treadmill on any other day and like his clients, they'll do something and then they'll come on the treadmill. And so he'll stand right here and just like, there are other open treadmills and I don't know, just things. And some of it he can't help, but like, I can just feel when he looks at me and just like I can hear them talking and they're always having like, no matter who the client is, he just seems kind of immature and they're always having like weird conversations. I don't know. It's just, the vibes. He just bothers me. Well, this guy and we'd been talking for a while and which was fine. It was nice. It was New Year's Day. Like, again, it's good conversation. We're talking about books and he's just about to turn. So his body is like opening up and there's some TVs up here as well. But the trainer and whoever he was training at the time kind of walk over and either the guy was like going to grab water at the water fountain right there. I don't know. But the trainer is like, how's your book? And I'm like, it's great. Like I was kind back, but I'm like, number 1, I don't speak to you. Number 2, like, what the fuck? I'm like, it's good. Awkwardly, whatever. And then the guy, he's still kind of like right in front of my treadmill. They start conversing kind of, but he was already like on his way out. We were already like closing that conversation. Well, then the guy walks away and I get back to my book. Well, the trainer and his person, they walk in front of my treadmill and the trainer kind of looks up at me and he goes, you're welcome. And I laughed. I'm like, huh? Because in the moment I didn't really understand. And it was kind of like quiet. And I was just like, huh? And he kept walking. And then I sit there and I'm like, wait, he just said you're welcome. And then I put it together that basically Number one, he's shit talking that guy because he was saying you're welcome for getting me out of the conversation when number one, I actually like talking to that guy. But number two, he was already leaving in the first place. And number three, don't sit here and try and act like you just helped me or saved me. I'm like, oh, stop. Oh. We laughed and I told Carter, and actually Carter like a week prior had noticed that same trainer. And I keep these comments to myself. Typically, like when I get a weird vibe from a man, I don't say anything because Carter will stomp on them. Like he will pounce if given the opportunity, if they do something wrong, not just like free-heartedly, but like if I say something, Carter's going to be keenly aware of that person. So I try and not mention that guy just gives me weird vibes. But the other day, like a week prior, Carter said that I was walking on the treadmill. And again, he takes his clients and he was like behind on the elliptical. And he said that the guy was looking at me, which I'm like, oh, I'm like, babe, are you sure? You know, I don't fucking doubt it, but I'm not trying to put doubts into Carter's head. I'm like, maybe you're being whatever. Well, after that, I was so annoyed and we were walking. I'm like, babe, you will not believe that guy. And I told him and he was like, ew. And I'm like, thank you. Why? Oh, get. So we go to the gym today. It's the second. And that trainer was, of course, there. But I just like, again, and I always just keep to myself. But I'm like, please don't come up to me. Please don't act like you helped me. Also, shame on you for shit talking this guy that you work with. Like, he's a kind guy. And like, that's just bad in general. Like, it just looks bad on you. But I digress. That was my story. Okay, you guys, let's get into the freaking questions. I had to get that off my chest because I know that you guys will get it. And it's just like, I just fucking hate people. Okay, let's get into the freaking questions. You guys, I have a few emails. I haven't really proofread them, if I'm being honest. So we're just going to go with the goddamn wind and listen to everybody's issues and problems and try and help. Okay, let's begin. Okay. Hey, Brenna. Hope all is well. I'm actually in a relationship that I'm super happy with. And we just moved in together 2 or 3 weeks ago. Oh my gosh. Congrats. I love that. We had our 1-year anniversary early December also. Okay, perfect. So now we begin. Okay. I've had this situation with his mother. Oh God. Let it begin. We have days we get along, then we can get into fights out of nowhere. Oh, with his mom? Okay. My boyfriend is relatively great at sticking up for me and being a good middle ground, but I have a feeling a lot of this aggression from her comes from her feeling left out because her other son doesn't get along with her, and my boyfriend is always doing things with her. Oh, whoa. Sorry. And my boyfriend always doing things for her, considering she has chickens and land. And recently, in parentheses, 3 years ago, got divorced. Okay, so mom is divorced, has 2 sons that we know of. Yeah. Your boyfriend helps her. Got it. Mind you, she has talked poorly about me, behind my back to my boyfriend's friends, claiming she thinks I'm hiding something. Okay, I'm sorry. When grown adults pick fights with their children or their children's spouses is fucking weird. Okay, I just had to get that off my chest. Okay, and being me, I found out and called her out on it. And of course, she was trying to basically deny it. Props to you for calling her out. Ooh, what a weird dynamic. Okay. And we do have good periods when she will call me and cry to me about her psychotic boyfriend who breaks up with her every other 2 weeks. I'm not even being sarcastic. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is crazy. Okay, let's keep going. This past week, while we were at her house, I had showered and she came by the door and very rudely, she said, "Turn the fan on." And after I told my boyfriend what had happened, and he thought it was pretty rude, considering I was just rinsing off. Yeah, why the fuck would you have to turn the fan on if you're just taking a shower? I mean, I get it having house rules, but like that's kind of weird. Okay. Next day, we sat at the fire pit talking, and apparently my boyfriend asked her to apologize. I didn't tell him to ask her to. And she told him, "Did your girlfriend want you to tell me that?" And of course, he told her no. Then she asked me, what did she do that needed her to apologize for? And long story short, she didn't apologize. Okay, this is all a little bit crazy. This is all a little bit immature, but let's keep going. Yesterday, we left her house after spending like 5 days with her for the holidays. Well, number one, quit doing that. Don't spend 5 days with anybody, especially your mother-in-law who's a little bit crazy. I had piled everything up in my car and I went inside to say goodbye and everything, and she was crying. I asked her what's wrong, and basically she didn't really answer, but she was feeling anxious. Basically, me and this woman are constantly having provokes, but I love my boyfriend and our relationship is nothing but happiness, and really need a plan on how to go about this toxicity when my boyfriend is planning to propose this year. Wait, me and this woman are constantly having provokes? I'm not understanding that part, but I get the whole thing. Okay. And then she says, thanks, Brenna. So I really need a plan on how to go about this toxicity when my boyfriend is planning to propose this year. Okay. I think number one, is she bipolar? Which that's so bad. And I don't mean to actually diagnose somebody, but like, why is it good sometimes, but then she's also talk shit about you? And well, clearly she has her own issues. Clearly she has her own battles. You know, she's divorced. She has like a crazy boyfriend. Like she has her own life that she's going through things. I think it's so odd and immature that she would ever take that out on you or your boyfriend. What I would do, okay, so basically when I answer these questions, I just put myself in your shoes. So I'm picturing Carter, the love of my very life, and if his mom were that way, I would personally, but this is kind of what I do with everything, I would just try and distance myself a little bit. Like he can go there and hang out and, you know, if he helps and has duties to do at the house, but like don't spend 5 days there. I would try and keep, you know, the hangouts to a minimum, or at least time between them, and only go for a couple hours. I guess if she calls you and talks to you, it sounds like you're straight up, like the fact that you've spoken to her and said your piece and like, you know, whatever. It sounds like you guys have a good enough relationship where you're able to tell her your feelings. So I would maybe just sit down with her and like get to the bottom of, it's more so her issues. Like when people take things out on you, I think it has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. 1,000%. Like, because there's just no reason. Like, I just don't get it. I would sit down with her, since you have a good relationship sometimes and just are able to speak your mind, and just be like, I, you know, love your son. That sounds so dramatic, but like me and whatever his name is, like have such a good relationship. And I want to also have a good relationship with you. But the like, you know, the yelling at me every once in a while and like the talking badly, whether, you know, you want to deny it or not, like it just doesn't make me feel good. And I want to have a good relationship with you. So like, what can we do to make that better? And I have a hard time believing that she's going to be able to like give you a straight answer, because it sounds like she's a little bit chaotic. Or ask your boyfriend to like have that conversation. Like I would, because I've been in a situation before where there was some family drama that had nothing to do with us, but Carter had to have conversations with his parents and was like, hey, if you want a relationship with us in the future, like this has got to change. And guess what? They got in line. Okay. And I'm not going to elaborate on that, but life is too short. And if you are going to marry this person and be with them, like I think your boyfriend should be like, hello, you know, I love your name, insert name here, to his mother. He's speaking to his mother. And, you know, she loves you and wants to have a relationship with you, but when you do X, Y, and Z, or you accuse her of this or like whatever, it's counterintuitive and it doesn't make her feel good. And I think that will change the behavior more. I personally believe like it's one thing, because now I have a good relationship with Carter's parents that I could go to them, but I still believe with like these hard, weird conversations, especially when it's newer, you're still a year in, that each person should be having the conversations with their own parents. Like, I just think number one, that's best. That way they never blame you. Like, you could come to her and say your things, but then she's like, oh, your girlfriend, like she'll put the blame on you, which is just bad overall. So I think it might be better if it comes from him. And also, if a person's behavior is going to change, it's 100% going to change more for their own child. Like, obviously that's her son. She might care about you as well, but like if her own son, your tie to this woman comes to her and is like, hey, if you don't start, being kind to my girlfriend, like we're going to take a step back. Like I'm going to stop helping, or we're going to stop coming to see you, because that's what it needs to be. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do. I would talk to your boyfriend and like, again, come from this place. Like you want to have a good relationship. Who doesn't want to have a good relationship with their partner's mother? But I also know so many people that don't have a relationship with their mother-in-laws or father-in-laws because they're fucking crazy. And I respect it. Like, yes, if these people are negative to you or speak badly of you, I don't think you should have a relationship with them. And I think that's fine. And I actually know a few people, adult people with children, that they don't get along with the other's parents-in-law, and they just keep a distance. And that's what they do, because what matters is you and your partner. If you and your boyfriend are good, yes, mom is important, but like if you guys are going to have kids and you guys are a relationship, you guys are the unit. What matters is you two. So as long as you two are on the same page, like I would try and not let it bother you. However, if this person has like a big part in your life, it's something that you do have to think about. And if your boyfriend like really, really is close with his mom, of course, but it's like, it is 2025. Like we don't need toxic people, especially mother-in-laws in 2025. Like enough. Why are you acting like that? I just pray to God that I think I'm self-aware enough once I'm a parent that I won't be like fiddling in my children's life. I just like cannot understand it. And I think it just comes from a lot of people, or not a lot of people, a lot of things like, going through a divorce. She's obviously dating and has a boyfriend. Like clearly she's going through it, and I'm sad for her and that sucks. But it's also like, don't take that out on other people. You know what I mean? So those are my thoughts. I love you. It will all go well. Keep me posted. I feel bad because that's hard. And again, we all have an idea of like this perfect world, and like we want to have, a family with great values and that come together. But like that's so little people's realities. That's so few people's like real lives, and there are these intricate things that you have to work through, but that's life. And as long as you and your partner love each other and you guys decide what's good for you and how you're going to handle things, and you guys are on the same page, that's what matters. Okay, perv. Next. Oh, I kind of read this one and I was a little bit confused. Hello, Brenna. Do you believe in right person, wrong time? I don't, but let's keep reading this email. Right person, wrong time is not real, because if it was the right person, it would be the right time. That is facts. Okay, but let's keep going. I do/did. I hope so. She goes, the love of my life and I met in September of 2024 on Tinder. Okay, so this was very recent. This was only a couple months ago. We hit it off instantly, but we didn't meet up again for another month because we were both traveling. But hanging out in person felt as good as the first time. Amazing. Okay. However, texting gets complicated and cloudy. I can't seem to figure out the best way to text more. So then meet me here at this time. Okay, in quotations, if we start talking about our days, etc. I get frustrated with the way he texts. I care about him a lot, but he admits himself he has a lot of healing to do. Do I wait or move on, or just hope for the best? Yours, Confused K. Oh my gosh, I'm dead. Okay, wait, so he texts you like, meet me here at this time when you want to text? I think that's an overall good. I think a man who wants to see you rather than text is good. I don't think texting a lot is good in general, but that's just my opinion. As we get older, it's just like, no, let's either call or see each other in person. So I kind of love that. I get this question a lot. He's a bad texter, but like, would you rather he's a good texter, but then is blah in person? Like that to me is way better than the alternative. And I hate texting. Okay, but it sounds like you said, I care about him a lot, but he admits himself he has a lot of healing to do. So is he kind of like at a pause? These sound like two different issues. If he's like not wanting to commit because he's healing, do not wait on this man. Okay, move it right along. If it is meant to be, it'll come back. Okay, but like waiting on him is only going to hurt you, is only going to keep you from growing because you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs waiting for this man to heal. And like healing doesn't have an end date. There's not a time that comes around where you're like, I'm healed. It's a work in progress. And I feel like a man who's just not committing and saying he needs to heal, whatever the excuse is just an excuse. And so I highly recommend not waiting. I would say move it along. I would say this is not the love of your life. And yeah, That's how I'm going to finish that. I'm sorry that was short and sweet and to the point, but you guys met in September. You hung out a few times. Like, I don't think that's the love of your life. I think maybe you hit it off and had good chemistry, but that does not mean that is going to be a good partner or be a good relationship. Those are two different things. Compatibility and chemistry are completely different. And if he's not in the right space to like date right now, that's not a timing. It is a timing issue, but timing is everything in a relationship. Like hitting it off, having chemistry, love is such a small part of the puzzle. You know what I mean? So I would keep it moving. And again, if in the future he's all of a sudden healed and comes back, amazing. You keeping moving forward and working on yourself and even dating is only going to help you grow and become more yourself and learn more about yourself. So then you'll be a better version of yourself if it comes back around. And if it doesn't, then you didn't put your life on hold for a fucking man. Okay, next. Thank you so much. Okay. This is a long one. Oh my goodness. Are there periods in this? Okay, there is. Holy shit. Buckle up. Okay. Hi, Brenna. I'm a big fan of yours from Mexico. I'll try to speak the best English I can. Okay. I wanted to thank you because I've been struggling for the last 3 months with a breakup, and you've been the best help to not go crazy and to move on a little. But here's the story. I broke up with the guy. We weren't officially dating because the guy didn't have the balls to ask me with the eye roll emoji. Okay. Because I was going through a tough path with my emotional health, and I had lots of problems at home and with my friend group. So I didn't have the time to be dating with someone. And I felt selfish because he was going to ask me after 5 long months to be his girlfriend. But by that time, I had stopped liking him, I think is what she means. So I said the worst thing I can do if I don't want to hurt him is to stay with him even though I felt nothing for him. Okay. So I invited him to my house and broke up with him in the nicest way I could, but he got furious. Obviously, he said nothing more to me than, okay, leave it like this. And I was like, okay, I'm exposing my feelings to you and all you say is okay. Then he left my house and texted me, don't ever talk to me again. And I was like, well, if that's what you want. I, in fact, was mad for his reaction because I was hoping some deep understanding and don't worry, I get it, it's fine. But then I realized I can't judge him because nobody likes getting broken up with. Totally. Okay. After that, he blocked me and unfollowed me everywhere, which in my opinion was a little immature. I took the decision to not do the same to him until he said some nasty things about other girls saying they were hotter than me. And I got mad. Ha 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 ha. After that, I spent the next 2 weeks crying nonstop every night because 1, I missed him. 2, I felt guilty of hurting his feelings. And 3, all his friends didn't even care to listen to my side of the story and they started talking shit about me. It was really hard for me to move on, especially because my issues at home were only getting worse and I was feeling very lonely at this point where I wanted to commit suicide. Oh, that's dark. Sorry, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. I talked with a friend and he helped me to heal and to express all the sadness I was feeling, but the feelings for that guy weren't going away. I have a complete folder in my notes that's named unsend that are messages I started typing in this chat but never send. The main reason I didn't send those messages was because I felt very selfish because I knew he was moving on. He even made out with a girl younger than me and I didn't want to ruin all his progress by texting him. The only thing I did was prayed with all my forces for God to take that misery from me. I spent 2 months and a half like that. But then one day I decided I had enough and that he was a good guy but nothing to die for. So I deleted all of his chat and his contact because I realized that having those conversations were only stopping me from moving on. And I started journaling in my notes about him. Every time I thought about him, I would write down the feeling and it worked. I was finally moving on. Obviously, he was still in my mind for moments, but nothing like the past months that all I did in my day was cry alone in my room for him. And also, I started hanging out with other guys and I realized that I'm not unlovable. That was just not the right guy for me. Good. I love this. Okay. But then when I finally had some peace, he texted me 5 messages. I almost passed out. And what's worse is that he deleted them. So I didn't have any idea of what they could say. By the way, this happened 2 days ago. I was in a diner at the time and I just got into the bathroom, called my best friends and started crying, saying it's not fair. It's not fair. I felt really frustrated that just when I was recovering from it all, he decided to make an appearance in my life. A friend of mine saw me crying and took my phone and blocked him. I was thinking of texting him like question mark, but she told me that it was probably one of his friends or a joke. These last few days, I haven't thought of anything that it's not that. I need to move on. Or I don't know if it is a sign from the universe to get back with him. I don't know. I would love if we could talk about it here. I love you, Brenna, and I hope you have a great 2025. Sending all the love from Mexico. Oh my gosh. First of all, you're precious. Second of all, you get it. Third of all, that is just like breakups 101. Even when you're the one doing the breaking up, like the regret for whatever reason is like so strong. And it's like, no, you were not happy. You didn't care for them. But the second you break up, like all of these feelings come. It's so weird. And what makes breakups and relationships so hard, it's not a sign. This always happened. Men always come back into our lives when we are just getting over them. Like it is like they have a telepathic, sort of vision into your brain. And it's like, oh, she's moving on, text. Every single time. And sometimes people then get back into relationships. Sometimes, like, for example, my really big breakup with a guy that I dated that I was very serious with, he and I broke up the first time. And I literally went no contact because I knew that's what I had to do. And at day 30, okay, he texted me this long thing about how he regrets it and whatever. And now after I got into a different little relationship and it was a fling, I did the same thing, sadly, to somebody. I broke up with this guy because it just wasn't right. But then right at that month mark, I'm like, oh my God, biggest regret of my life. Like, what did I do? You reach out and it's like the same thing. It's like, no, bitch, you didn't like that person. It's just like our hearts are playing. I don't know why. I don't know the science behind it. No, this is not a sign. And even if it would all crumble the same, like whether that was his friends or not, I just think keep moving on. You were making so much progress. And even though this always sets us back a little bit, you will keep it moving surely and shortly but surely. What is that phrase? It doesn't matter, but just keep it moving. It sounds like a very immature situation and he's obviously not the one. Why was he waiting 5 months to ask you out anyways? And you don't like him. It's like the idea, it's like the what ifs. You're like, oh, I made a mistake. No, you didn't, because you dated him for a long time. I would just block and keep it at that. This is like textbook breakup. I feel like everybody has been in what you just told us. And the texts don't mean anything either. He's probably feeling the same way. That's the thing with a breakup. Like we all, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I really like them and whatever. And you say things you shouldn't and you send the tags and you have a moment of weaknesses, but it's like, just keep it moving. I don't think anything good can come from going back to that, in my opinion. If you really want to, go ahead, but it's not a sign. Like men just really have a way of fucking getting their noses in our business when we're finally moving on. I would just keep it moving and you will move on and heal and you'll be fine. And you'll look back in a few months. You'll be like, oh my God, I was so down bad for that guy. No. Okay. That is my honest and real advice. But thank you for asking that. That was like textbook. As I was reading it, I'm like, we've all been here. Okay, you guys, we have two more. This next one like literally breaks my heart, but I think this might be helpful for some. However, there's cheating involved and I've never been cheated on. So I can't, I think, give the best advice because I've never been through that. But I think nonetheless, let's talk about it. Okay. Hello. Love following you. So empowering. I saw your story about stories for the podcast. I think my biggest question I currently feel is going through my head when I date people post my ex is, how does one trust they will see the red flags after years of not? Okay, so let's get into the story. This one's longer, okay? My ex of 6.5 years and I split up. We lived together for 4. After he had multiple multi-month affairs, would always tell me it was in my head. Once rented out an Airbnb during the day with one of them to then come home to me at night. He also made up multiple life stories that he told to me and my family that had nothing to do with the cheating, just like literal life stories that he made up. Okay. We had an 8-month breakup at some point and was put in a group chat with 8 women, about 6 of whom thought they were monogamous with him. Of course, he was lying to all of them, and the woman felt very used emotionally and physically. I too had to apologize to them because honestly, my first thought was, I thought this all ended with me. I got back together with him because he said he was not well and needed help and that he would never cheat again. I know, what the heck, insert her name, and then she has a facepalm emoji. No, girl, don't ever, any single woman here who has taken back the shittiest man of all time, don't ever like feel bad or like you're dumb or like, it is really like, unless you're in it, when you love a person, it's crazy. Like your brain will do anything other than allow yourself to like let them go. So like I get why you feel that way. And like, of course, it's like, you stupid bitch. Once you're out of it, it's like, why did I do that? But I get it 100%. And trust me, every other girl out there has as well. Okay. It's hard when someone you are so connected to that you've shared such a life with is coming and saying all of the correct things. A group chat of 8 women, supposedly he was sleeping with up to 3 in a day, should have been enough to never speak to him again. Cut to 1 year later, after getting back together, he's literally having an affair with a married woman who went to our college and fully knows who I am. I actually messaged her husband to let him know, something I wish others had done for me during the affairs, and he didn't believe me. There are so many more parts to this insane story, but I guess the real question is, how the hell does one not only trust again, but also toe the line of being there for someone unwell versus being pretty much emotionally abused? Okay. The saddest part of all of this is after 6.5 years of life together, literally being each other's person and family, the night I find out about the final affair, I left in a taxi at 12 a.m. to the airport to fly home. We were doing long distance for a bit at the end, and he still had not apologized or said goodbye. I, of course, made multiple attempts of trying to get some sort of closure, never getting back together in parentheses, but asking for an apology, asking for a goodbye because we did have plans to have a full life family together. So the rug truly was pulled out from under me this last affair. We were also incredibly close with each other's families. On the final night we were together, I had 2 choices. I could check his phone to get the proof about the affair that my intuition was so strongly telling me was happening, which I knew would end our relationship, or ignore it and continue on knowing that there was a strong possibility an affair had occurred. I chose to get the proof because I knew even though the pain would be so vicious and real in that moment, my future would never be healthy with him. I had been cheated on so many times by him. I knew if it had indeed happened again, he would never stop. He doesn't feel normal things or hold any sort of moral value to loyalty. Again, there are so many more parts to this story. Okay, well, girl, the amount that you've shared is more than enough to know that he's a shitty person. And again, you could still love somebody. And again, he might have deep trauma and yada, yada. Again, I don't give a fuck. We need to quit diagnosing them and take it for what it is and how he treated you. That's not okay. Anyways, okay, let me keep going. So many weird little lies I find out about, so many strange things that he did. The strange things almost hurt more than the cruel things. Of course, I'm in copious amounts of therapy. I'm dating again, but I always now have the fear of coming across another master manipulator, but also don't want to diminish someone who is doing the work on themselves, maybe has a bad past, but has changed. It's also crazy that he lies to people about what happened. So few of his circle know the real story and just think I'm the crazy ex, of course, because people are fucking stupid. But again, did I mention this? No, I was talking about this in TikTok Live this morning. The thing about it is with friends and family of your ex, regardless of what they say, it's so hard because you want them to know your side and you want to prove your point and like you want them to not think poorly of you. They're always going to take their side anyways if it's their friends and family. So you just got to live with the fact that it doesn't fucking matter and you move on and you just cut those people out because that's all you can do. Anywho, I stood by him for much longer than most people would and did everything to support him getting the help that he needed. Tough to convince your brain to trust again. Thanks for listening. Oh my God. First of all, you're so sweet. Second of all, like all of this together, 6.5 years together, 6.5 years with somebody, that is like, depending on your age, not even, it doesn't even matter your age, like your whole adult life, maybe even your late teens. I don't know how old you are, if it's like all of your 20s, like it's just a long 6.5 years is such a long time to be with somebody. So that's hard in and of itself to then have this man cheat on you and lie to you and like not be the person that, number one, you thought he was or you hoped he would be. It's just a lot to come to terms with. Now, how do you carry on and trust others and trust yourself? I think that's almost the worst part. I think girls have a really hard time not only just trusting another person, but trusting themselves to not love somebody like that again. Because you're like, how did I do that? How did I also go back to somebody I know cheated on me? Like, you just feel unsure in your own body, which obviously therapy is like the number one thing I would recommend. And I hope that's helping you. And they're going to be able to do way more than I can do and help. I think that, yeah, in therapy, you learn as much as you can about yourself and kind of what went wrong in that relationship. And now that you're dating again, here's the thing. Anybody can be a manipulator. Anybody can lie. Anybody can cheat. But I think having hard conversations in the beginning is really helpful. Learning how a guy thinks, how he feels, what he thinks of different topics is important. Oh God, this is so hard. I honestly don't know, because it can happen to anybody. I don't think any woman is more susceptible. I think men, again, are master manipulators. I don't think anybody could have caught the lies and things. Why would you? Because also you're not looking for that. When somebody's speaking to you, anybody, a boyfriend or a friend, you're never thinking, are they lying to me? Because why would you? We are all human beings and we think the best of others and would hope that they're not just sitting there lying to our face. I think you have boundaries that you are looking for in a relationship. And I think the only way you make sure this doesn't happen again is the first sign of something bad or a red flag, you leave. No matter how small, no matter how, but he's working on himself. I also think you just stop dating the men who have troubled past in general, which obviously when you get to a point, we've all been through things, but I think oftentimes, my grandma actually was telling this to me about my own father. She's like, my dad loves helping people. And she's like, he always dated people that needed help. He always dated super jaded women before my mom, probably even my mom, after my mom, that was his specialty. And I think a lot of women, we are drawn to men with issues so we can fix them and help them. Quit doing that. You do not have to date those men. You can find a perfectly whole man who is a good man, who is respectable, who's a gentleman, who has gone to therapy, or who is just solid. Don't feel like you need to help anybody. We have our own issues to deal with. You do not need to be out there fixing men. And I highly don't encourage it. And if there is a man and everything is great, or so it seems, but he has he's going to therapy because he has this deep trauma and things, that is enough of a reason to not date that man. And I know it's cold and I know it's cruel. It is exactly why me and one of my boyfriends broke up. He was amazing other than his mental health, but his mental health was so bad, I couldn't deal with it. Does that make me a bad person? Maybe you think yes, but I don't think so. That is something you'll deal with lifelong. It is a perfectly good reason and a good reason to not date somebody if they have some serious issues. It's like a person with a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction. Yeah, but they're great, except they're an alcoholic. That is enough reason not to be with that person. So I think just really you deserve a strong man who, again, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's going to be perfect, but that you align with on things and that doesn't have a million issues. You know what I mean? Really, therapy is the best thing for you and you're already in it. That's my honest advice. And honestly, just working on your relationship with yourself, because I think if you're always doubting yourself and you don't feel like you can trust you have to just know that you are going to make the best decisions for you and you're going to make mistakes. We all do. A lot of the issues that I've ever had in my life were my own doing, because I didn't make the right choice or I didn't trust the right person. You know what I mean? So you have to give yourself grace and know that that was not your fault. What that man did to you was not at all your fault for trusting him. Like, you are a loving, kind person. A lot of women want to see the best in somebody. So don't ever blame yourself that you were manipulated, that you let it go on, that you went back to him. It's so normal. And the fact that you got out is incredible. Even if it was 6.5 years, there are women still in those situations that know they're being cheated on, that know they're being abused. It's a hard thing to leave. It's an impossible thing to leave at times. And some women's lives are literally in danger. So like, you cannot be mad at yourself for how long it took that it happened in the first place, because that wasn't something that you chose. Yes, you chose to go back, but like, it's so much bigger than that, you know? So allow yourself like grace, you know, don't be so hard on yourself. Go to therapy, read books, listen to mental health podcasts, just on like getting to know yourself better and trusting yourself better. Whatever things you're worried about, you can find books or podcasts to rewire your brain, and then you just do the best you can. As far as dating goes, I think for anybody out there, especially you, like, really, I cannot stress enough. Number one, having your boundaries and leaving at the first sight of one of them, whatever it is. I don't care. I don't care if it's a slip up. I don't care if it's a mistake. I don't care if it's something they said. I don't care if they're working on it. That is a boundary. You do not date men who the first time you catch a lie, the first time it's a tiny white lie, I don't give a shit. That's how you stop this from happening. You know, there are way too many men out there and life is too short, and you can just be single. The second you start overlooking those red flags, then the next time it happens, you're like, oh, okay. Then again, nope. First sight, just next. There's another man who won't do that thing. I promise you. So that's my advice on that. Okay, you guys, one more, and then we will leave you guys packing. I will leave you packing. Okay. Dear Brenna, thank you for your podcast and videos on TikTok. Your energy is really helping me at this time. Should I not read those parts to you? I just start from the top, but I love the compliments. But you guys don't really need to hear that. Anyways, okay. A couple of months ago, my boyfriend of 4 years decided to end our relationship. He has been struggling with a health issue throughout the relationship, which has meant he has not been able to live his normal life, in quotations, being social with friends, working, etc. There was always a lot of hope for the future and that things would get better, but eventually the whole situation affected both of our mental health and put pressure on both of us. We always, ! Had a lot of love, compassion, and respect for each other, and I think we both thought we would be able to get through the tough parts of life together until he couldn't anymore. I'm completely heartbroken and don't know how to move forward. I guess my question is, how do I let go of the person I thought was my person? How do I let go of a good, healthy, loving relationship? I find that a lot of breakup advice is reminding people they deserve better and deserve someone who treats them right, etc. But I had that. Our relationship was so tender and loving and supportive that I can't really find comfort in that advice because I actually can't imagine anything better. I just feel lost. Bonus info. I'm 30 years old. I have a lot of good friendships that I have always prioritized throughout the relationship. I have hobbies and have planned a solo trip, so I'm trying to move forward. Well, number one, that's amazing. Thank you so much for messaging. Thank all of you for messaging. You are so sweet, and this is so real. So everything was great except for this health situation. Okay, what's my advice? And I totally get it. Yeah, a lot of my advice is always like to people who dated losers, because that makes sense. But like these intricate, like when nothing was wrong, really, but then something happens. I think, again, like any of my advice, and I know I'm a broken record, but number one, I hope you're no contact. I don't care how good, I don't care how loving, you should not speak to this man. If you want to move on, you have to sever ties, cut ties, whatever that phrase is. You guys, if you can't tell, I never know what the fucking phrase is. However, get rid of on social media, no matter how good. And now you're like, but everything's fine, but it was amicable. I don't care. Amicable. Sorry. You need to move on. And if you still communicate, if you're still seeing their stuff, if you're still constantly reminded, which I get as a 4-year relationship, I get you're probably close with the family. I get that you want to stay friends because nothing was wrong. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Right now, you can be friends in the future. I don't give a shit. But right now, to really move on, you need to go no contact because it only makes it a million times harder. You keep holding out hope, and you can hold out hope a little bit. And here's the thing. It clearly is not working right now. And if it is ever going to work, okay, he needs to get better. He needs to get to that right mental place that he's not at currently. He decided that he could no longer put in work in this relationship, no matter how much love, no matter how much anything. He decided that. And that is a relationship that you can't be in. You need both of you to be working towards it. And he no longer was choosing to do that. So like that is a breakup, that no matter how good the relationship is, because if he wanted it to work and to really be together forever, he could have chose to stay in it. And I get it's a real valid reason to break up. I get that. And he does need to take care of himself, but it's also horseshit at the same time. No offense, because like anybody can go through things and get through that with somebody. So if it's ever, number one, going to come back to where it was, he needs to get his shit together. So like you have to completely break up and not be a part of each other's lives for him to get to that place. And if it's not meant to be, you need to get out of this space where you're longing for it, where you're sad, where you're like, okay, this is now my life alone, single. You're 30 years old. The world is your oyster. That was 4 years with a person. You learned a lot about yourself. And although you don't think there is better, I bet there is better. And you just don't know what that is, because I had a relationship, same exact situation. I talk about it all the time. Mental health. Our relationship was quite literally perfection. Everything between us was great. His mental health, he started going into this like depressive episode and out of nowhere broke up with me, but we broke up. And I was like, oh my gosh, we had so much laughter. There was so much love. Everything was great. There was trust. There was whatever. Me and Carter, 1,000,000 times better. Like I had no idea. And I thought at one time, just like you, like there's nothing better. But a relationship is a moment in time, similar to friendships, similar to anything else. And I believe you. I believe it was a wonderful, great thing. But you both have to be in the right headspace for any relationship to work. And that's just not your person. Like if it was, he would have figured it out. He would have, worked through these things with you. He just didn't want to do that anymore. And like, that is the cold, hard truth. And I know that we always go at bat for them. Like I remember talking to my friends after the breakup and they were like, fuck him and whatever. And I'm like, no, he like really has mental health issues. And like, I always tried to defend him, which it was true. It was true. Like he really was going through it, but it's like still, there's nothing else to say. Oh, my heart just goes out to you. So really like all you can do in this moment is get to moving on. I love that you have a solo trip. You have your friends, lean on them. And in a month from now, come back to me and you'll even be more clear-headed than you are now. You'll still probably be sad. There's still going to be things you regret. There's still going to be all of these like what ifs and whatever, but you just need to find your feet and like start on this new path by yourself, because regardless, again, I'm not going to try and rain on somebody's parade. If that is your person, which who's to say that he is or he isn't? If he is, he still needs to go through this. And I think a break would be good. Like you guys both will get so much more clarity being alone. If you sit there and try and talk and be friends, like it's always going to be a little bit messy. So just break up, do your thing, go on your solo trip, and it will all work out just as it's supposed to. Like everything really happens for a reason. I believe that in my core. And in a couple months, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, thank goodness this happened, whether he gets the help that he needs, or like you have all of these wonderful things in your life that happen, or, in quite a few months when you decide to date again, because that's it. This is your new reality. You're going to meet, you're probably going to go on some horrible dates. Like, let's be fucking for real. But you have no idea what any other relationship could look like again. And like, I know it's not what you want to hear, but I was literally you. I was like, oh my gosh, this was such a great relationship. How am I going to find this? And then Carter was like more than I could have ever dreamed of. So I am here for you. I love you. You're going to be okay. You have a great support system. It sounds like you just like are a great human being and you're already handling it very well. You just got to treat it though like any breakup. Like even when a man cheats, even when it was perfect, you just have to go no contact, in my opinion, and keep it moving. And your thoughts will become more clear and everything will make sense. And, who's to say what's going to happen? Life comes at you fast. You could get a job promotion. You could move. Like, the world kind of opens up, and I think only great things will happen for you. Even though right in this moment you're heartbroken and sad, it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing. I really do believe that. Breakups are so life-changing, especially when you were with that person for 4 years, especially when you thought that was your forever person. You had life made up in your head a certain way, and now it's completely shattered, which is scary, but it's going to be a wonderful thing. So you're amazing. I'm always here. Thank you guys for asking your questions. I hope it was helpful. Sometimes I'm like, bitch, did you even answer? I don't know. But I think it's nice to hear about and talk about. And if anybody else is going through it, I hope it's helpful for you. Thank you guys so much for being here. We will be back next Monday. Okay, I'm going to shut the fuck up. I love you guys. Have the best week. And I'll see you, next Monday. Okay, bye guys.